We make meaning in our world in lots of different ways. That's something we talk about at Relata. When I preached 2 weeks ago, I talked about making meaning by using frameworks to understand the world. We have frameworks that we carry with us from childhood that shift and grow and change as we shift and grow and change. And occasionally, as we grow older, we have disruptions or experiences or relationships that cause us to rethink our frameworks. And that is all part of being human. One framework that we all share in this place is the liturgical calendar. It's a spiritual practice that we move through the seasons of the church year. We go from Advent into Christmas and Epiphany. We move from Lent into Eastertide and Pentecost. Then we take a break and settle into ordinary time, or as I always love to call it, the green and growing time, until we start the whole cycle again. These seasons provide a predictable rhythm to our common worship life as well as our days. Now stay with me here. I'm going to give us the 30,000-foot view before zooming in. In Advent, we prepare for the birth of Jesus. And in Christmas and Epiphany, we celebrate the incarnation of God in flesh, the life of Jesus. Lent is a time of introspection and denial as we seek to empathize with Jesus in anticipation of the resurrection. And here we are today, sitting on the edge of Eastertide before it gives way to the Feast of Pentecost next Sunday. The beauty of cycling through these seasons year after year is that while they do not change, we do. Each time we encounter a new season, we are different than we were the year before. We are different because life never stands still. Each year brings with it new insights and revelations, as well as new pain and sorrow. When Easter Day came about this year, I found myself in a new place. The idea of the cosmic Christ had sparked my imagination. And I briefly touched on it in my sermon at the Easter Vigil. In this season of Easter, I have always struggled to make sense of the resurrected Jesus. The transition from the historical man we journey with in Lent to the resurrected Jesus of Easter always causes me to stumble. Each Sunday in Eastertide, we hear stories of the disciples struggling to understand what has happened, trying to make sense of this earth-shattering disruption. In the resurrection, their frameworks, the disciples' frameworks, are blown to pieces and they are left sifting through the rubble of the way they understood the world and how it has all changed completely. For whatever reason, the way it made sense to me this year, my 45th time cycling through the 50 days of Easter, was the cosmic Christ. The gospel appointed for today from the gospel according to John is a tough one. It's the end of a longer section called the Farewell Discourse, in which Jesus is preparing the disciples for his death and resurrection. And this small section at the end, the part that Deutsch read aloud for us today, is often called the high priestly prayer. That makes it sound theologically sound and important. But in reality, I find it to be convoluted and confusing. One article I read this week called this passage a, quote, word salad. Eugene Peterson's contemporary translation of the first few verses goes like this. I'm praying not only for them, but also for those who will believe in me because of them and their witness about me. The goal is for all of them to become one heart and mind. Just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, so they might be one heart and mind with us. Then the world might believe that you in fact sent me. The same glory you gave me, I gave them. So they'll be as unified and together as we are, I and them, and you and me. Then they'll be mature in this oneness and give the godless world evidence that you've sent me and loved them in the same way you've loved me. How are we to make sense of these poetic and convoluted words from John's gospel? And furthermore, what are we supposed to make of them with regards to our life of faith and how we choose to act as Jesus' disciples? In this sermon, I want to expand your thinking around Jesus to include the cosmic Christ, because it has helped to shift my framework, and perhaps it will help you too. The historical person of Jesus is of primary importance. He was both fully human and fully divine, and his life continues to impact our faith and practices in significant ways. But the cosmic Christ is a broader concept. The idea of the cosmic Christ goes all the way back to creation. In the beginning, when God created the world, God infused everything with a divine spark. Rocks and waters, plants and organisms, animals and people. From the Big Bang through evolution, God is ever present in the beauty of all created things. Think of creation as the first incarnation. That is the enfleshment of spirit. This is the presence of holiness in all things. This is the first chapter of Genesis, when God joined in unity with the physical universe and became the light inside of everything. Another incarnation is Jesus, God in flesh. This is the man who walked the earth in first century Palestine. It is his life, his death, his resurrection, and ascension. And the next incarnation is us, the church. That's what Jad wrote about in his letter inside the cover of your bulletin today. And I want to read aloud just a few verses from Jad's letter as it ties in so closely. Jad writes, "Our faith is as much about the process as it is about the ultimate ends. Put differently, our faith is based on a fundamental act of translation, the divine word spoken into the human language of flesh. And that salvific act of transforming the radically foreign into the humanly familiar doesn't stop there. Jesus didn't stick around after the resurrection to evangelize to us as some immortal missionary. Jesus built the church, the second incarnation of the body of Christ. The incarnation is a much larger event than we typically consider. It is Jesus, and it is so much more. We are part of the incarnation. You are part of the incarnation. Everything visible, without exception, is the outpouring of God. And this is the Logos, the capital W word of John's gospel. John's prologue starts like this. In the beginning was the Word, the Logos, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. This is a sacred cosmology. The cosmic Christ, the universal first incarnation that was and is to come. This is Christ, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. In today's passage from chapter 17, Jesus is teaching us about the oneness inherent in us, the body of Christ. another incarnation. The goal is for all of us to become one heart and mind, just as the divine is present in Jesus and all of creation. The divine is present in you. And when we recognize the belovedness, the divinity inside our own souls, we can't help but share that with the world around us through our love and through our actions. When we are, quote, mature in our oneness, as the contemporary translation says of verse 22, when we are mature in our oneness, our very lives serve as witnesses to the truth and to God's love. The Christ mystery is not a one-time event that happened long ago in a world we can barely imagine. The Christ mystery is an ongoing process throughout time, as constant as the light that fills the universe. It started with creation, continued in the person of Jesus, and lives on inside of us today. When we step into this oneness with maturity, we can't help but see Christ in everything. You'll see it in the faces of your loved ones, in your coworkers and friends, maybe even in the soulful eyes of your dog or cat, in the beauty of spring flowers or the sun setting over the mountains. The universal Christ becomes inescapable, and at a certain point, you even see Christ in those who are most different from you, the people with whom you don't agree about anything, the people whose life choices are incomprehensible, even them. So as we leave this place today, still lingering in the light of Easter and looking ahead to Pentecost, may we carry this expanded vision of Christ with us. May we allow our frameworks to stretch and bend in holy ways, shaped by the truth that Christ is not confined to one moment in history, but is alive in creation, alive in community, alive here at Epiphany, and alive in each of us. Let us step into the world with open eyes, ready to recognize the divine spark in every face, every leaf, every breath. And may that recognition shape how we live, how we love, and how we bear witness to the one who holds all things together.